Hey YouTube, so here we are today on Weapons Grade, and we're going to talk about something special. We're still looking at Matthew's collection. I'm out here at his ranch, and we are looking at his products that he bought on Etsy, which is the site that you buy mostly handmade craft type stuff, but this is also hand forged in small places where people either do it themselves or one or two people. It's all custom stuff, all one-offs. So he has quite a bit of them, and today he's going to talk about what he likes, what he doesn't like, and what you should look out for.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. All right, so I see that we have all kinds of crazy custom weapons here, from hatchets to daggers to knives to stuff look like they've made them out of wrenches, files. All right, so what do we have going here?
So here's a mix of different blades that I've purchased on Etsy and Amazon directly from the manufacturers. So the manufacturers tend to be guys who do this in their spare time, or people who make these professionally but are selling them themselves instead of through distributors and resellers.
So some are home forged and some are commercially forged.
Most of these are home forged, but a lot of these guys are to professional levels. To give you an example,
start with the big boy.
this is made by Hunton,
Let's see it.
and he sells these on eBay. He makes them himself. He only makes one or two a month, and he makes some great blades. I'll do a video on his equipment later. But he's also, I think, a silversmith by trade. So he does this on the side, I think, to make a little extra money.
So that's considered what do you call that?
This is a short sword. It's a leaf blade, similar to a lot of Greek or Roman blades or even Chinese blades. It's a kind of a universal design.
And what's that made out of?
This, I think, is made out of W2 steel. And you can see the nice hamon there. It's wrapped in very professionally with race skin underneath. It's a beautiful blade. But
All right.
what I like about this is his level of professionalism in making it. His sheaths are awesome. I have multiple of his blades, and purchasing his equipment has always been a great experience.
So say the name again.
Hunton,
Hunton.
N-T-O-N.
And what did that blade cost?
This one was, I think, between $500 and $600, which is an amazing deal for what it was.
So
And
$500 for a custom sword. What kind of steel?
I think it's W2 steel.
All right. Is that good for fighting, chopping, piercing?
His blades are cutters, so in a real cutting situation, this would be great, but it's also great for martial artists who want to get out and do chopping and cutting demonstrations, katas and such. This I purchased from Ravenstag Designs, and he also does this and has a day job. He's an amazing artist. He makes some great equipment, and most of it's out of recycled materials. So a lot of times, lawnmower blades, saw blades, old wrenches, and he takes and gives this old junk new life as
So
as
what are the
beautiful
materials
blades.
from this gold handle to the black onyx to the metal with a blood groove, double-sided blade?
Mm-hmm.
What is it exactly?
This is a small gladius he made, and it's amazing. It's a great blade, and like I said, this was it was only, I think, around $400, and it totally lived up to my expectations of what I wanted out of a knife or a sword. This is made out of 5160 carbon steel, and it's a piece of art, and that's a lot of times why I buy this. Is artists here in the U.S. create something of value, and they're able to share it with us at a much better price than sometimes manufactured equipment of
And
not
it's
even
a
as good.
one-off, so only you own it.
I'm the only one who has it. Right next to these, here's a good example of a blade I bought on Etsy. But I didn't read it closely enough. I thought this was going to be a lot bigger. It's made out of a file. It's kind of fun.
It's made out of a file, which is what type of metal?
It's a very hard steel. I'm not sure what steel it is off the top of my head.
You can tell it was a file. It looks like the handle's kind of short and difficult to hold on to.
Yes, and this is where the learning curve comes in with Etsy and Amazon when you're buying from the manufacturers. Read the different descriptions, read the sizes, and then give yourself a real world example. So measure the blade and then go look at something else that's that length. I was assuming this would be much bigger and longer, but
yeah,
really
I can
it's
see that it's like a 2-finger handle.
really it's like a small knife. I spent more money than I would have spent if I was paying more attention and actually checking what the lengths were. So if I had been able to hold it personally, I probably wouldn't have purchased it.
What'd you pay for that?
I think I spent a little under $200.
$200, and you regret that one.
Yes,
But these were good purchases.
those were awesome.
What are these? They're made out of monkey wrenches.
Yeah, so a lot of different people on Etsy and Amazon make knives out of wrenches.
Is that a good metal to make a knife out of?
Oh, it's great. They go and do the heat treat on it afterwards,
Nice.
and it's good. It's good steel,
And very heavy looking.
heavy, cool,
Karambit.
and they're able to recycle something that it's a broken wrench. Someone else got their value out of it.
So obviously the Karambit had to be heat treated and bent.
Yes. And this is my favorite out of all of them. This one's also from Raven Stag Designs.
What's your... Who's it from?
Raven Stag Designs?
Raven Stag.
Yes.
And what did that cost?
This one was about $130. And it's amazing. For that price, you can't find anything ever near that. It has a braided copper wrapped handle. And it's just a beautiful piece of art. It's razor sharp. And, you know, most of the time now, I won't buy from a seller on Etsy or eBay that doesn't have a ton of reviews. And
What's a ton? More than 10?
more than 10 or 20, because I end up in situations like the one I purchased before where it's just not the quality that I like, it's not the size that I like. But I bought from Raven Stag, and since then he has a lot of reviews in his store, a lot of really positive stuff, and his quality is amazing. I'm going to do a review on his equipment
So if
later.
someone wanted to buy that weapon, do you have the only one, or will this guy make more?
I have the only one, but a lot of these manufacturers on Etsy will go and make whatever you want if they have the materials available at varying levels of prices. And that's the great thing about Etsy. They'll do custom orders for you.
So you can tell them what length and what stamp to put in it or whatever.
Yep, they're awesome.
So generally, are you buying blades before they were made, or you're just picking something out of their Etsy catalog?
So it's a mix of both. If there's something specific I want, I will ask them to make it. But more often than not, you'll get a better deal if you buy something that they already have made and it's
stuck
sitting
with it,
there
right.
and they need to sell it. A lot of these guys, I think, use this to fuel their hobby. Most of them have day jobs still. Some
Got it.
don't. So
Got it.
here's an example of one I bought last week. It's pretty cool for the price. It was $150. It's one large, heavy piece of steel. I think the thing's almost 2 pounds. And it's a copy of an angel blade from the TV show Supernatural. However, once I got it in my hands, the blade is a little off. The edges aren't equal. The blade isn't as good a quality as most that I've purchased.
Looks a little warped.
A little warped and uneven. It still feels really good in the hand, and it's a cool piece. But like
Yeah.
I said before, try to really look at the pictures and look at the links describing these things to be able to get what you want.
So what did you pay for that?
That was $150.
And why didn't you return it?
I didn't return it because he had pictures, and I still feel like for $150 I got my value's worth out of it.
Okay.
The last one I'm going to discuss is this little blade from a company called Almsler, Amsler.
What was
Nice.
this originally?
So this person actually goes through, and he's been making these for at least 10 years. That's an all titanium knife. It has a coat on the edge to keep it sharp, because titanium isn't known for its sharpness, but it is known for its strength and its ability to flex. Titanium is hard to work with, so that's an expensive blade. This version was used in the new Blade Runner movie, and it's actually very...
You can see the size of it. It's really small.
It's really small, and his blades have been selling for years. They're very popular, and I think he lives in Pennsylvania. He's been making them for a long time, and he has a steady following.
What does the handle say?
It's Amser, that's the company name.
AMSLER 2049.
And that's because this is the version that was used in the new Blade Runner movie.
Got it. So it's a fantasy knife.
Oh no, this is a functional. It's just happened to be used in that movie.
Got it.
People use these as everyday carry. They're awesome little blades. But if you hadn't read the links, then you wouldn't know, hey, this thing's gonna be tiny. It's great for this, but this is not a full-size knife. This is made to be small.
Seems like a scalpel
Yes, like a tiny little tactical scalpel.
with a handle and,
Yep.
and a clip.
That is true.
So I noticed this crazy looking Viking hatchet going on over here. Let's talk about that before we let these people go.
So this is made by Mark McCoon. He makes some great equipment. He primarily sells on eBay. And he has normally anywhere between 2 and 15 different hawks. His have been on the market for easily 10 years, and he has a steady following. His stuff is all made here in the US, which is part of the reason you want to buy from US manufacturers, small shops like this. And there's no two alike. So, they're
What's it made out
collectible.
of?
This is made out of a high carbon steel. I'm not sure which one off the top of my head, but it's sharp, it's functional, and he makes these all from scratch here in the US.
And it looks like it weighs about 15 pounds. That thing is a monster.
It's a monster, but it probably weighs less than 3.
3 pounds?
Yeah.
So it's light.
It's light, it's a combat hawk.
Got it. All right. Well, thanks for today. And so basically your message is buyer beware.
Buyer beware, pay attention to the links, pay attention to what the pictures are, and pay attention to what the reviews say. That way you get what you're trying to buy and not what you hope it's gonna be.
All right. So maybe we can do 1 or 2 specific videos about folks that you really like on Etsy.
We'll be doing that soon.
All right, guys. Talk soon.